श्रीभगवानुवाच प्रजहाति यदा कामान् सर्वान् पार्थमनोगतान् आत्मन्येवात्मना तुष्टः स्थितप्रज्ञस्तदोच्यते.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha, Krishna answers, O Partha, son of Pritha, son of Kunti, when all desires of the mind are totally abandoned and one is fulfilled in the self alone by the self, then one is said to be a Sthitaprajna, one established in wisdom. Yada tada, when one, means it's a clear definition. There are no ifs and buts, there are no qualifications. Anybody, anywhere in the world, any human being of any race, caste, creed, who fulfills this is considered a Sthitaprajna. So, what he's begun with defining a perfect person, verses 55 to 59. In 55, he gives a definition. In the following verses, he explains. So there are two aspects of this definition. One, he begins with a negative aspect because that is what we can understand. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan parthamanogata. When you have abandoned all desires from the mind, you haven't abandoned objects of desire. You have only abandoned desire from the mind. And this is possible only when you have a higher desire. When you are established in the higher, then you can give up the lower. So, in the absolute sense, he says the positive is when you are fulfilled in the self by the self. Now, this seems difficult. But go back to your own life. As a child, you had millions of desires for toys. Yes? Did you fulfill all the toy desires? No, nowhere near it. But do you have desire for toys now? Thank God. In some place, somebody said yes, that was the end of it. You are certain you don't have desire for toys. But you also know that you had millions of desires for toys and you did not fulfill the majority of them. How did they go? If you understand that, you will understand this. How did the desire for toys go?
New desires.
Not just new. You could have higher desire. When you had desire for dolls and little cars and all kinds of things, and suddenly on your birthday, you were gifted as you grew with a bicycle. And you learned the thrill of balancing on that bicycle. It takes time to learn. What happened to the toys? They just dropped. So you didn't give up the desire for toys. All you did was you escalated to something higher, something more fulfilling, something more enjoyable, something more gratifying, as a result of which this fell by the wayside. Correct? And so on, right through your life, right through your growth from a wailing infant to a full-fledged adult. All that you did was expanded your mind and picked up higher enjoyments. And as you picked up the higher enjoyments, you yourself found that the lower was no longer enthralling, no longer held your attention, so it fell. So you never gave up a desire. It is not possible to give up a desire. You only picked up a higher desire. And that is what you need to do now. Just as a child moves from toys to bicycles to girlfriend and boyfriend to what else? Going to America to study, to establishing a career and then getting married and so on and so forth. You just move from one object to more and more enchanting desires. And that is what he's offering now. So it is possible to escape from the stranglehold of desire only when you move up to something higher. You can't give up desire. So when now you go to a Mahatma and they say, chhod do, chhod do. Arey, how to chhod do? Nobody gives that, which Krishna has given in the very first verse. In the definition of a man of realization, he has given that. So what must precede is the higher desire. You must pick up the higher, only then it is possible for the lower to go. So what is the higher? From physical, you find a young girl who is all full of herself. She is interested in new clothes and nails must be polished just right and her makeup must be right, her hair must be right, every hair must be in place and so on and so forth. And then she gets married and has a child and there's a sudden transformation in her. What is the transformation? She is so captivated by the child that nails go out. Not nails don't go, desire for maintaining the nails goes. Hair is all over the place. She's indifferent to clothes. Why? Because she has picked up an emotional desire. The child gives her so much more joy. The thrill of being a mother is so great that physical things no longer have a grip over her. At least for the time being. Then later it comes back. Unfortunately. Then you move from emotional to intellectual. There was a young girl here in Mumbai who was very attached to her family, who loved being, who was a foodie, who loved Indian food, who loved to be with friends. And then suddenly she got this desire to get a PhD from an American university. And she used to say openly, my ambition is that there must be a doctor before my name. Now once she got this intellectual desire, attached emotional desires fell by the wayside. She was all prepared to leave her family and friends and go. She came from an affluent family here. She gave up all the comforts and went there. And I go to the US every year. So one time I visited her. It was very sad to see her live in a small apartment, cook by herself, everything she had to do by herself. But she was so intellectually stimulated that she was in one of the best colleges in the US for her subject. And she was doing so well that she didn't miss any of this. And then the last is you move to the realm of the spirit. And nothing in the world holds you. Once, as you must, those who heard the bhajan, once you have this nostalgia of the infinite, once you have this desire for reaching God, whatever way you want to look at, or reach the state of perfection, nothing, absolutely nothing in the world grips you. How will it? It has no hold over you. It has no basic value. Because of ignorance, you confer a black market value to it. By itself, it has no value. It's all ephemeral, passing. The world, life in this world is full of pain and sorrow. If only you had that vision to see it, you would not have this craving and obsession for objects of the world. Go back to desire. As long as you are obsessed with the desire, you will not get the object of desire. Desire is the greatest obstacle standing between you and the object of desire. And number 2, as long as the desire is not fulfilled, your mind will be agitated. So, you are unsuccessful, you are unhappy as long as you have desires. Why would anybody want desire? So, forget realization. Even in the world, if you want an object of desire, anybody who wants money or power, now the elections are around the corner, if there's any one of you who has political aspirations, you have a desire, you must rise above the desire. The moment you rise above that desire, the object of desire comes to you, unsolicited, unsought. And number 2, you're happy. Therefore, Sant Tukaram says in one of his abhangs,
आस भय चिंता लाज काम क्रोध आस भय चिंता लाज काम क्रोध तोडावा संबंध यांचा माझा तोडावा संबंध यांचा माझा तरीच हा जीव सुख पावे माझा.
desire and its modifications. Sant Tukaram says, desire and its modifications, you have to sever the connection between you and desire and its modifications. Only then, taritsaha jiva sukha pave maza. Only then will you be happy. You must understand that. And only when you understand that, you will make an attempt to break free from the stranglehold of desire. Otherwise, you remain in that kichad. All your life, you're running around desire and its modification. And you get hit over and over and over again. And then he says,
देवा तैसा करी उपकार देहाचा विसर पाडी मज देहाचा विसर पाडी मज तरीच हा जीव सुख पावे माझा.
so he asks God for one favor. He says, let me forget my body. Body means not just body, mind, intellect. Only then will I be happy. So, you become apta kama, fulfilled of all desires, when you cultivate the desire for Atman, Atma Kama. Atma Kama is the highest desire. When you develop the highest desire, all desires you become free from. And then even that one desire for Atman goes away and you become akama, and that is the state of realization, desirelessness. For which, what is the starting point? You must have the conviction that there must be something beyond my little universe of myself, my husband, wife, my children, my friends, my parties, my shopping, my this, that. All of us are cocooned in our own little worlds. And we believe this is it. There's nothing beyond it. There are people who are not even interested in knowing basics. There's no basic curiosity to know anything. Like Plato gives a metaphor of a generation of people who live in a dark cave deep in the recesses of a mountain. They are born there, they live there, they entertain themselves there, they procreate there, and they die there. And it never occurs to any of them that there is a whole world, universe outside the cave. Until one fine day, a young man tells everyone else, there has to be something beyond this little cave of ours, this dark dungeon. Let's go explore. And the elders in his generation say, what rubbish you talk, there's nothing outside. So be content with what you have. So he keeps quiet out of respect. But again and again this thought comes to him, that there's got to be something, and I must explore. So since no one else is with him, once when everyone is sleeping, he gets up quietly and starts moving away from that cave and the fire in the center of the cave. He turns a few corners and he gets into a frightening state where he is in pitch darkness, complete darkness. He hasn't reached the mouth of the cave and he has lost sight of the fire in the cave. A frightening state to be in, neither here nor there. But his conviction keeps him going. So he keeps moving forward until suddenly he sees a little diamond sparkling in the distance. And that is the mouth of the cave. Now he's convinced that he was always right. And with greater enthusiasm, he keeps moving towards that diamond. And when he comes out into the open, he is overwhelmed and excited to see sunlight, to breathe fresh air, to see the fascinating colors, see fresh water, river water, rain, wind, so on and so forth. And he is in ecstasy. He enjoys this for a week. And after the week is over, he thinks of his people back there in the cave, suffering in darkness. So he decides with a missionary zeal to go back and pull them all out. He goes there and he gives them a fantastic lecture. Fabulous. Speaks of the sun and the moon and stars and water and ethereal air that you breathe and so on and so forth. The more he talks, the more his people are convinced that he is mad. Because they don't understand what he's saying. Even though he's speaking the truth, they don't understand because they have no clue. They have never experienced it. And they dismiss him, unfortunately. And say, Beta, poor thing. Something must have gone wrong in your birth. So, take it easy. But he doesn't realize he can't communicate to them. He's perfectly okay. They are the guys who are not okay. And suddenly, another youngster comes to him and says, Chalo, let's go. I'm with you. And now their journey outward is much easier because he's been that way before. They come out and with amusement he sees the younger man go through exactly the same excitement and exuberance that he went through when he first came out. And after a while he tells the younger fellow, says, now you go back in there and pull one man out of that cave. And thus was started the famous Guru Shishya Parampara, preceptor-disciple lineage, which has gone on for centuries, unbroken in this country. So it all starts with thought of the beyond. The thought that life can't be just this muck that we've gotten ourselves into. There must be an understanding of the futility of your life. And then comes that desire for liberation, which is called mumukshatva. Once you have this, nothing in the world stops you. And you keep going. And no one else will know what's going on inside you. You don't express it, you don't talk about it. Because it's something sacred to you. It's something very dear to you. You must mull over it in your idle moments. In moments when you get caught in traffic, when things are not going right, when you are at peace with yourself, you're listening to music, we all have our moments with ourselves. And that's when you should think. think differently. And this desire for liberation gains strength. That's what he's talking about.